Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to SoftwillyTalks episode number 6. We're on a streak. We are on a streak, and that's great. I'm enjoying this a lot. So thank you, everybody who's tipping me in my DMs on Twitter. Means a lot to me, and you guys are really appreciative of it too. You know, I'm appreciative of you guys even sending me something and even opening up. So with that being said, let's get started. Before we continue, I'm not a professional, so please take things that I say with a grain of salt. I just like to say that. I think it's really important that I do disclose that. This is a lot of stuff based on my opinion. So if there is something that I really do feel you should be going to speak to a professional about, or if you feel like you should see a professional about, please, by all means, go ahead. Let's get started. The first one says, "Hey, Nick, I know I've come to you about another thing over on Instagram a few months back, but I'm back in need of some more advice. I trust you as a human, especially when you're doing the whole SoftwillyTalks thing, which really helps me a lot. Anyways, how do you think people should go about coming out to their parents when they are too nervous? Maybe they are worried their parents won't support them, or maybe it's another thing. How should people go about the process of coming out to their parents?" So I just want to let everybody know that I'm not gay, and because of that, like, I can never fully empathize with a situation like this. However, my sister is lesbian, and my sister has a wife, and I'm very proud of her, and I don't judge her, and I'm proud of anybody who comes out and is comfortable in their own skin. It's definitely nerve-wracking for people to end up coming out to their parents, because your parents are the closest things to you, and you feel that they're going to be the ones that are going to judge you the most, right? And so it all depends. I mean, you know your parents best. I know many people who accepted themselves for who they are, didn't tell their parents anything, and then just kind of let their parents find out when they brought home a certain somebody. And there's different ways that you can do it. If you feel one that wants to be transparent with your parents, you can do that and let them know. My advice would be to kind of use like statements, like supporting statements, like, you know, this is for me and this is about me, and I really hope that you can support me. But I think before you do that, you should really try and build that confidence. If maybe you already have it already, but build that confidence and that shell around you, that you shouldn't feel like you're weird. You shouldn't feel out of place. You shouldn't really let somebody tell you like you're wrong for being who you are. I hear all the time that people feel like they shouldn't be gay, or they feel there's something wrong with them. When it really comes down to is the people who make them feel like that struggle with their own problems, because they're caring so much more about someone else's shit. At the end of the day, if you're gay, or if you're straight, or whatever the hell you want to be, whatever the hell you actually are, right? If you're even like just figuring yourself out, like, people really can't shame you for that. So especially with your parents, it doesn't matter who the fuck they are. Like, your parents have no reign over that. They don't even have any special privilege to have any judging points over you. I don't give a fuck if they raised you. You know, my parents can judge me all they want, but at the end of the day, I don't give a shit. My mom doesn't like tattoos, but guess who got a tattoo? Me. So before you go about it, I would probably make sure that you have that confidence to, even if, God forbid, the worst happens where they knock you down, right? Which hopefully that doesn't ever happen, which happens with a lot of parents. They do that to their children. I want to make sure that you have that confidence that they can knock you down and you could be like, okay, like, I don't care. This is me. Because when you show someone that you have that confidence, most of the time, they're not going to care. If you show somebody that you're headstrong about, this is who I am, and you're confident in it, they'll back down. It's always the people who are thinking that you're, wishy-washy about something, that they're going to walk all over you. And that's just not something you want, especially your parents. I hope I helped with this. Again, I can't fully empathize with this type of stuff, considering I've never had to experience it. But if I were to be, this is how I would do it. I hope I helped. Okay, the next one I'm going to put on screen, and once again, it's one of those where it's a little long, so I'll just have you guys be able to pause and read into it. But to really summarize it, this individual is having, again, some struggles with their parents, acceptance of possibly them not being so religious. Their parents are religious. Parents are kind of against, like, anything medical related. They're saying that they're anxious a lot. The parents say that they're not. They don't want them to get drugged up or something like that, put on any sort of medication. And then they also want to do content creation. They say, also, I want to do content creation. Everything is under my parents. That is to do with content creation. So I don't know what would happen if I were to grow a following and that small chance actually happens and I get disowned. So that's an understandable fear. I think how I live my life is that if I want to do something, I do it. And I don't let anybody hinder what I want to do. And that's like really difficult for some people at certain ages, you know what I mean? Especially with certain parents. But I remember I had just graduated from like this transitional program from 8th grade into freshman year over the summer. And after I had graduated, I mean, this was every day nonstop. After I had graduated, I just wanted a break for a little bit from working, because I was doing work, and then I was on top of that, I was also doing schoolwork over the summer. So it's like I wanted to be a kid at that point, you know what I mean? I was going from 8th grade to freshman year, and one day I didn't want to go to work, and my dad got really fucking mad at me. So what did I do? I went to my mom's house for an entire 2 months. I didn't even come back home. I said, fuck that. I didn't talk to him for 2 straight months. Because of that, that's just something that I did. I mean, not everybody has the ability to do something like that, but I took advantage of the fact that, listen, I want to do something that I want to do, and I had that opportunity to. And if you don't have it, you should really try and make the opportunities. So when you're doing content creation, for sure, definitely, why not try and, keep it low key, or just keep on trying to do your best with it, especially if it's a passion. Nobody should really take that away from you. Or if you really want to be as transparent as possible and say, this makes me happy, please, I would like for you to support me during this. I mean, they don't have to understand it, and they probably won't understand it. My parents don't fully understand it either. The minute that they accepted it was the minute I showed them a fat check. It's like the minute that they see that it's okay for you is the minute that they see that it's actually benefiting you money-wise. And unfortunately, that's not such a good outlook on things, right? Like, I had enjoyment for it for a very long time, regardless of that money that came through. So it was unfortunate that I had to prove to them that, yes, fine, like, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm also getting paid for it, because their worry is you're not wasting your life. You know what I mean? They don't want you to, have any sort of slip-ups that they possibly did. A lot of parents are actually like, and they end up projecting what they want onto you. So you just gotta, keep in mind that. But again, it's the same thing with religion, bro. And these kind of talks kind of like relate, to one another, like a lot of these subjects, because at the end of the day, it's all about your like self-confidence and what you want to do. I mean, it doesn't really matter what age you are. As long as you know what you want to do and you have a clear idea of what you want to do, it's what you want to do. Nobody can fucking tell you not to do it. If you don't want to believe in some sort of religion, you don't have to believe in some sort of religion. My family's Roman Catholic. Be your best fucking... I'm not gonna fucking be Roman Catholic. I don't fucking believe in that. I think it's like a cult following. I don't want to listen to a fucking pope who's probably a fucking pedophile. What am I gonna do? Tell my super religious mom that? It's one of those things where you just gotta have to like not care. Like, it's just hard for parents to just not understand that. They should just not give as much of a fuck as they really want to, and that's like a really difficult thing for them. So you have to also see from their perspective that they think that they know what is best for you, and sometimes it's not in the best interest of you. Parents they're not always assholes, right? There's no like crystal clear cookie cutter way of being a parent. I think that a lot of parents end up just doing things because they think it's in best interest of you, because that's how they were raised as well. So you have to kind of, give and take, give them some credit where it is. Not all parents are bad like that. I really do hope that I helped in any way, shape, or form. If I didn't, or if you want any more clarification on something, feel free to DM me. All right, everybody. So for this last one here, I'm going to read this entire thing out. It's a little close to home, so I can actually relate a lot more to this one than a lot of the others. So this one says, hey, so I have a former friend who I cared deeply for a long time, and we stopped being friends years ago because she did something bad that ended up changing the way she treated me and how I felt about our friendship. We haven't been on speaking terms since then. It took a lot for me to get to the place where I can move on. There's a big part of me that wants to DM her and tell her how bad she hurt me because I didn't tell her when it happened, but I don't know if it's the right thing to do. So my question is, should I tell her how I felt for a long time, or should I just do nothing? And maybe or maybe not block her. Thanks. Also glad you're making videos. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you look forward to them. Okay, so I'm going to explain my story, and then I'm going to tie it back to this one. So in 8th grade, one of my friends liked this one girl, and he wanted me to help him, and her become some sort of thing. So I befriended her, and realized that she started to like me. That made me feel really bad, right? But then I also started to like her, right? So it was now over a year and a half where he ended up falling out of his feelings for her. That was whatever. Her and I became really close. And we had talked for a very, very long time, very good friends. And for some time, she liked me too, but we were never really transparent about our feelings. It was just kind of like one of those things, right? Like where we thought that, and, we thought how we thought, and that was that. It wasn't until one day that I had brought her back home. She was hanging out with me out at dinner with like my family and stuff like that. I gave her a hug, went home, and then that night I texted her and I told her how I felt. and she ended up just completely telling me that she had actually no feelings for me whatsoever, and that she had liked somebody else the entire time. Now, whether that makes her right or wrong for possibly leading me on, however you want to look at it, I see it as leading on. I got really upset, so I ended up stopped talking to her like immediately. I mean, I sat next to her in classes and I just stopped talking to her, and she was really upset by that. But I was also, justifiably upset at the fact that she pretty much led me on. And so I basically cut her off completely. And my feelings around that entire situation were, you led me on, you kind of like fucked me over. And I just was like, I'm so fucking upset at this. It wasn't until 4 years later that I actually sent her a text message. I sent her a text message 4 entire years later, and I just said like, hey, I just want to clear up something. Like, I apologize for how I behaved and how I handled that situation many years ago. I was handling the situation in a different way than I feel I could have. And, the reason why I had done that is because, you think your friend had, messed with you in a way that you feel justified for acting, right? I think it's all about how you analyze the situation. I mean, if you're over it, what's the point in actually like bringing it up? But then again, I'm also someone that's like, I'm all about keeping, some transparency involved. So with this type of situation, it can only go a few ways, right? Like, if you tell her how you felt, she's going to like be attacked by it. Another could be that she's just literally going to be like, why is this even being brought up now? It was years ago. You could quite literally be just completely like belittled and be like, why does this matter? Like, that was so long ago, get the fuck over it, is what someone could tell you. But clearly those are your feelings, and you are entitled to those feelings. I think that, you should give yourself a little more time and fully think about the entire situation and see if it's even worth it. For me personally, with my entire situation, I had taken it from the aspect that, she had fucked with me in a way that I didn't like it. But overall, I kind of just realized to like move on from it, apologize for any wrongdoing I had. I had already forgiven her in my mind because there's no reason in holding grudges. And all I simply did was just apologize. Even if I wasn't the one who instigated it, right? I was the person who ended up not talking to that person anymore. You have some issues with her, and that's totally understandable. Try and see if there's any way that you may have assumed any responsibility, and then go from there. I don't think anybody wants to be, not spoken to for many years and then just randomly gets hit up being blamed for something, even if they are fully guilty for it. I don't think anybody wants that. So I think you need to try and like think from her shoes on how you would want to send the message. Personally, I don't see that being any sort of solution. Right? Like, you can have your transparency, but where does that get you from there? How do you expect that person to respond? If you're looking for a sorry, I think that your best bet is to come at it from a different angle, because if you go from the angle of, hey, this is how you made me feel, I think the chances of you actually getting a sorry are less likely than if you were to just kind of like own up for something, possibly just be like, sorry for the entire situation happening. Like, if you assume responsibility partially for the entire situation, and she can assume responsibility for that as well, then I think that you're better off. With that being said, I hope I was able to answer these questions. Again, if there's anything that you need more clarification on, anybody like that I talk about these two, please go ahead, feel free to DM me on Twitter if you need more clarification. Because, again, it is hard to kind of keep these talks within a timely manner. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the gameplay, and please feel free to message me on Twitter for anything else. That keeps the content coming, honestly. So thank you very much.
Somebody's